I am Emily Haines from Metric, and you are watching Consequence.
Hey, it's Jonah from Consequence, and I'm here with Emily from Metric. Emily, how are you doing?
So good. How are you, Jonah? You feeling good today?
I am feeling great today. Thank you for asking. So y'all have a new album out, and y'all are also on this awesome, massive tour. So I'm just ready to break into it. Of course, I have to start out though by asking about the namesake for the tour and the first song on the album, Doomscroller, because I know, especially in the past couple of years, it has taken over my life. And so I'm just curious how y'all came to embrace the doom scroll and what the doom scroll is for you guys.
Well, it's funny. Like, I think it'd be cool to talk about how you define it, and I could tell you what it means to me and the way I'm using it in the context of the song and the tour. Is like, it's different from like getting trapped in like someone's Instagram feed and being jealous of someone on a yacht or something. It's like it's more what happened to me during the pandemic, and since then has kind of stayed, and I struggle with it with all these other problems. Is the feeling that we live in this time where we have access to all this information, and I feel like as a citizen and an ethical person who cares about the world, I should do everything I can to inform myself and be aware of what's happening in the world outside of my life. So that leads me to, reading deeply about, you know, how the pandemic affected lower income people in third world countries, or, you know, political maneuvering, and how it, ultimately usually affects people in more vulnerable communities. And, the idea of lining up all the numbers under the names, it's like, unfortunately, yeah, at one point that was like people dying of COVID, but then you can easily swap in like people being victims of domestic violence, animals that are going extinct. It's dark, but it's true. And to me, the problem isn't wanting to know those things. It's that we live in this time right now where I feel like it's so heightened that it's like in direct proportion to how much more access we have. I feel like is in direct proportion to how helpless I feel. So you can read all you want, and then maybe you can make a sign and go, and which I'm not diminishing at all. I really respect, but I really do. I really respect when people protest. I respect when people find ways to engage in government and actually do something. But for me, the doom scrolling thing was like, I painted myself into a corner of anxiety that was like I couldn't function, and like the constant refresh and trying to make sense of the world by piecing together everything, and then reaching a point of being like, I'm not going to make sense of this, and there is no bottom to the internet, you know. So that's what it refers to. I don't know if you got all of that, or if that's what you relate to. Like, did you find yourself, or do you find yourself doing similar things where you're just trying to understand what's going on?
Oh, definitely. I think you hit the nail like right on the head. Just listening to the song, and even just before listening to the song and just seeing the tour banner and stuff like that. I immediately was taken back to the most recent time, which for me was the Supreme Court decision for Roe v. Wade, and
Perfect.
just sitting on social media. And it's exactly what you said. There's a real empathy there, and wanting to be informed and engaged on this thing that I think is so important. And for some reason, the lizard brain in me thinks that the best way to do that is to read Twitter, which is great because I get to hear some people's real experience and feel that emotion. But it's also, like you said, just an endless bucket of it, to which at a certain point, is it actually that helpful to just read and just feel that general anxiety just grow and grow? And then on top of that, I don't know if this is related, if you hinted this in the song at all, or if it's in your experience, but other than just feeling empathy and wanting to learn about people who are affected, part of my experience with doom scrolling is also uh, reading things that make me very upset over and over again, like the other side of like an issue that I'm on or something, or somebody saying something that I think is really offensive, or going down that rabbit hole also.
Yeah, and it's almost like the thing I've been kind of mulling over is like it's not the act itself that's the problem. It's my desired outcome that's the problem. So
Mm.
like your desire that you describe, for example, with Roe v. Wade, like your desire is to pay attention. You want to you're spending your time in the attention economy, the most valuable resource, right? You're spending your time listening. You're feeling for these women, you're feeling for their families, and you want to hear, you know, because you're an independent thinker, you want to think for yourself and take in all of those things. And if it stopped short of you feeling like you were going to achieve some sort of tidy bow on everything, it could actually be okay. Like that, I'm speaking just for me, was kind of
Sure.
something
Yeah.
I realized. Like it's my expectation that I'm going to be like, oh no, it's all good. I got to the bottom of the internet and everything makes total sense. I see how it all links, like, you know, dog whistle links to a torch song, the statue, QAnon, you know, everything that's in Doomscroller,
Yeah.
where you're like, I see. But then this is the other problem is, you know, a reasonable person trying to make sense of the world with these tools at your hands, we're all like one click away from becoming conspiracy theorists. So it's almost like the cure for doom scrolling is to not have the agenda of trying to like figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
it was more just to participate, pay attention, and make the effort to understand what someone else is feeling, again, like to the empathy piece, like. But I think for me, and I can tell that you're a true boy, you're a true doom scroller. I can tell.
Thank you.
It was like you have that, you've gotten to that place where you're wrecked. Like the Alex Jones court proceedings, I was like, I
Yeah.
can't. I'm like gonna, my boyfriend's gonna break up with me. Like we can't, like, you know. And how are you helping if you're in a place where you're just, you know, there are physical symptoms, which I'm feeling just talking about it,
I
where you're
know.
like,
I know.
right? It's like, and so we're programmed with this like fight or flight, and with nowhere to go, we're just sitting with our stupid phones being like, ah, you know. So I mean, I do hope that like with the song, certainly, like, you know, just what I just expressed, what I was experiencing, right? Like the thing in the piano section of the idea of um how do you deal with pain? Like when you take something for the pain, is it to conceal it or is it to deal with it? And
Mm.
my like mild to moderately obsessed with the idea of what recognizing what a huge distinction that is. Like, and when someone else is in pain, like the idea that your cure for them is not shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
take this pill and let's see if we can bury that a little further down. You know, there, that's better. You're behaving in a way that makes us all more comfortable, problem solved, right? Instead, the idea being that the cure is the thing that allows you to find the words, like like a magnifying, more like a magnifying mirror full size. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you just try to articulate all the tangle, let that feeling out, and not expect to have an answer, but have like um, some, just be in some kind of progress being made. So that's what's happening when we play the song live. It's so intense because
I
people haven't
bet.
seen,
Oh man.
right? And like haven't seen Metric in so long, and then you're on this journey, and I see it in people's faces. I feel so like useful because they're. It's not like, hey, just party. Like what pandemic? Like we got PTSD. We're we're like, this is a damaged planet in more ways than one, but we're all just kind of limping around trying to be like, what? Nothing. I'm fine. You know?
Oh, definitely. And that's one of my favorite things about the song. And that's something I want to get onto next, but it's just
Sure.
the 10, it's 10 minutes and you have this, you know, moving structure with different sections. And I'm like, that's perfect for a song called Doomscroller that's referencing, you know, different internet conspiracies because not that the song feels like eternity, but doom scrolling can feel like eternity, you know, and so if there was ever a time to do for Metric to do a 10-minute song, it seems like the perfect opportunity. So speaking of that, it was definitely a bold decision to put that at the top of the new album. So I was interested about that decision.
Yeah. I mean, right now, and I'm sure, you know, it's so cool. You talk to so many musicians, and it's really amazing that you offer this platform for us to have real conversations about stuff. Like, you know, it's kind of like everyone but Harry Styles, it seems like, is kind of holding onto the side of the ship with their by their fingernails, because it isn't even just about like who's big and who's successful and who's winning and who's not. It's like the entire thing, the whole thing got shaken. It's like a hellscape game of boggle or something.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever you were at in terms of your standing, on all the industry side things that affect musicians so acutely, there's normally a sense of like you finish your album cycle here, and you can have some expectation that you'll begin your next album cycle somewhere based on past patterns and things. But
Yeah.
what happened through the pandemic is we all just kind of came out into like a brand new world of like, there were never any guarantees, but now it's like minus minus. So we felt that knowing that the connection we have with the people that listen to our music is like, it's so real, it's so deep. Like the whole premise is we're going to do things that we really mean and make sense to us, kind of irregardless of genre or like conventional business practices and, conventional marketing machinery and all that stuff. And people are going to find us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's what we started out doing 20 years ago. It's not like I was writing songs being like, we're going to really bring them in with like, the verse about the 10-year-old enemy soldier, on the first song. Like, it's not how you win the room, So, which isn't what we wanted. We were like, we're going to slowly but surely find our people. And with it, believe it or not, this is me answering your question about Doomscroller.
I believe it.
You're like, literally, is she ever? But that's totally in line with like, for someone who doesn't know the band or maybe only has a cursory, name recognition or something, or saw us on tour with, who knows who, they might be like, I don't know what that is. But I think for everyone who knows us and actually needs our music, which is who I work for, they are like, oh, thank you. Bold move. Not burying that at the back. It's the best song we've ever written. Like, throw it at the top.
Yeah.
So that was the logic. But we were scared. Like, it's super scary because it's easy to say that. And then if everyone's like, we hate that, then you're like, oops,
Yeah.
a lot's at stake. But
I love that. And so kind of speaking towards this streak that the band has always had of kind of chasing what's just interesting to you guys and going towards the unconventional is definitely something I've always seen. But there was a line I think it was the Apple Music description for the album that described you guys as always being prog architects at heart. And that jumped out at me for some reason.
I feel like I just won an Oscar.
I know. I was like, whoa, like first off, high praise, not undeserved, high praise. But then also it's just so funny because, prog can sometimes be a 4-letter word in some circles. So I just wanted to get your take on being prog architect.
Oh my God, that's so funny. That's true. Like someone could be like, how dare you? It's like, to me, that's like, I'm so glad that you know me. I feel seen.
Yeah.
It's true. I'm going to add that to my resume because I gave myself on Formentera, I gave myself the album credit of reverse engineering.
I love that.
So I can also put like, I'm a reverse engineer and a prog architect. It's all coming together. My life's purpose is being revealed.
That's awesome. Well, speaking of Formentera, I guess I'm obsessed with namesakes today, but I was also curious about the allure of the Isle of Formentera and why, these collections of songs and this sound that you guys found for this time around lent itself to this isle that's out there.
Have you ever been there?
I've never been.
Did you know of it when you saw the name, when you saw OK Metric's new record? So it was a new word to you?
No new word to me. In fact, I didn't understand that it was a place. I just thought it was a cool word. I was like, oh, that's hard. And then looking into it, I was like, whoa, wait, what?
Oh my gosh, I'm having the best day now because that was exactly what I hoped, which is a common thing. Like we like having little clues and inside jokes with our listeners and stuff and just like, we're in it together kind of thing. But for your experience, the idea being, if you only ever thought of it as the word Formentera, it's totally working as this like imaginary place or feeling, right? And this word that you're like, I don't know that word. But if you do go further and you find the place, it only gives you more. So Formentera to me, it's paradise. I've been there once. And, these places are all over this gorgeous planet. They're not accessible to most of us at the best of times, let alone during a global pandemic when all the borders are closed. And so, deep year two. We haven't been able to get Josh and Jules across the border. We've moved our studio. Like, we bought a church in this like rural hamlet, I like to call it. Like, we've had major changes. I went from like living in LA to being in the woods with like basically just locked in. Like, everything's the lockdowns in Canada were quite severe.
Yeah.
And plus the snow, which I do think for those of us who experienced the COVID experience with weather added, it was a lot, because a lot of us would have normally the opportunity to be in another climate.
Yeah.
But so on a particularly challenging day, one of us got the idea of like, we need a change in our minds. Like, we're kind of going a little bit nuts here. And there was a book that we'd had forever. It's mine, I think, that's like, 1,000 places to go before you die, like dream destinations. We're like, okay, every day, let's open this to a page, and that'll inspire us each day. We're like, great idea. So we opened it to Formentera, and then I swear, like, I don't want to sound super like mystic, cosmic vibes, but like it was, because songwriting and creation of music is super deep. It really is. I don't like anxious about it, but like me and Jimmy have like weird telepathic stuff that happens. It's dope. It's really cool. But so that happened. It was like Narnia vibes, like opening up the new world in the page, and we're just like pawing at it, the picture, like looking at it. And we wrote the song that day. Like, Jimmy made this sound with whatever the hell he does over there with those modular synthesis. He's got all the cables hanging from his neck, and he's like generating like a feeling.
Yeah.
That's on a whole other level. The level of skill he has with that stuff drives me crazy. I have no idea. And I studied electroacoustics, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
But so I went to the piano and wrote that line, and it was just that line even just kind of flows. And we were like, this is what we need. We're creating this sonic oasis place. We got to let go. I can't doom scroll this hard. My neck is like a rock. Like, the anxiety is going to actually destroy my body. We're going to write a song that's going to get us out of this. And then that whole concept of the album came together around that. Like, the way the flow is, the beginning, all that anxiety, like, and urgency and tension. And then it's just, why not just let go? It's not about giving up.
Yeah.
But it's recognizing, back to what we're saying about doom scrolling. Like, you can do something, but it's not much.
Yeah.
So if you want to inform yourself, do it, and then find your, within your incredibly small scope of influence, what you can actually do. So that's how we landed there.
And that's something that I really loved about the record, is that there was like a payoff for all the anxiety. And I love the records this year that I've been listening to that are just pummeling for 40 minutes and that's it.
Yeah.
But it is nice to start there and then get to a place where it's like, oh, okay, I feel a little bit better.
For sure.
I know you mentioned it when we were talking about Doomscroller a little bit, but I'd love to open it up to the whole album on this first leg of the tour, how the new songs are translating live, and if they're any different than they are on the recorded version, or if there's a cool energy, if the audience is really reacting to them, or anything in that lane.
Yeah. Well, All Comes Crashing we're now at 6 weeks at #1 at rock radio in Canada, which is
congrats.
Thank you. That was an unknown, but because we've had good success with radio before, but again, going into the like hellscape boggle game was like, who knows? But that is really cool because it's so tender, that song, and it's so empty. Like, the production is very spare. So that's a good example to your question of like translating live. Took some confidence, because it's like, okay, nothing's happening. Like, just gonna bare my heart real quick, and but we just stuck with it, and it just locked. And now the whole room tends to do this like move on the chorus that's this like bounce with the, for all I know, this might be my last night, and it's becoming this extra meaning of like, literally this night that we're having together, literally this concert, this tour, we have no idea when we're going to get to do this again. Like, what we've got on the books is great, but there's no idea. So it's added this extra meaning. So that's been really cool. And Doomscroller, which I thought might be too much or something, and now it's like, oh my god, the world. It sounds light. It's like dancey. Like the world got darker. So it's like people are like, fine.
And just to confirm, you all play the full 10 minutes, right?
Oh my god, yeah.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure.
It's a highlight. It's really cool.
That is awesome. Well then I guess I just want to cap off the conversation with if there's anything you guys are looking forward to in this last leg of the tour, if there's anything people should know coming out, anything that you've learned on the first leg of the tour that you'd recommend to people coming out for shows that haven't happened yet, anything like that?
Well, yeah, like so because this is the last. We're ending in Halifax 2 nights, which is amazing. It's such a cool city. And I guess the thing that I've taken away that we're definitely going to stick with as we develop the show going into the US tour, US leg, like, is that everyone keeps saying that it's this like experience. And I'm really happy about that because it's cool to be like impressed, but I feel like at this point, that's not our purpose. Our purpose is that you can feel like you go to this show and you actually deal with some stuff and you come being like, I needed that. I've been getting that a lot from people. I needed that. Which just, that's what I want to hear because that's what drives, right? So like, that's one thing I'd say if people are wondering what to expect, it's, we've totally done lots of hybrids of the new stuff and the old. You're like, it's kind of feels like this retrospective of the 20 years is represented. And it's really like bang them up. But more like an experience where you can just maybe take a second and try to take a look at how you're feeling and hopefully come out of it feeling better. So I'm going to give you a little secret.
Oh.
We haven't announced, you may notice there's no support on our US tour.
I was trying to find it.
Because one of my things is like why I feel like we've had a good time and keep having a good time is I take it really seriously who we bring on the road.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of pressure to just like put someone on who sells tickets, and I refuse. So to the point, and again, scary gamble right now, where I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not hearing it, I'm not feeling it. Like Bartiz, amazing.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I was like, there we go. That's what it needs to be. And I have so many fans being like, thank you so much. We love their music. I'm like, that's the point. And, obviously Interpol Spoon, like there we go.
Yeah.
So finally we have the artist that's going to be on that tour. And it is such great news.
Really?
But it's being announced September 6th. So it's kind of annoying of me. I'm kind of like, and I'm going to not tell you right now. But the announce is coming really soon. But just from talking to you and your vibe, I feel like you're going to be really happy about this news.
Well, whatever the opposite of doom scrolling is, I will be doing until September 6th.
Right. Perfect.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Emily. Best of luck on the rest of the tour, and I'm loving the record. And I hope that every other song also gets 6 weeks at the top of the radio. So
we're fighting. We're holding on.